Wise Wednesdays started on April 1st with a humble episode on forgiveness. Between then and now, we've had heart-led conversations on happiness, stress management, relationships, resilience, public speaking, respecting boundaries, self-discovery, mindset, just being, listening, reclaiming your life, intuition, and even food. I would like to thank all my listeners and the guests who gave me their time and trust. It is because of you that we kept going. It is because of you that we kept growing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so, so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so, so much. Welcome to episode 93 of Wise Wednesdays with RK. I am super excited today because today we're doing something very unique. We are speaking to someone who is on a Thursday while we are having a conversation on Wise Wednesdays. Isn't that fabulous? My star speaker for today is Scott Carson. He is the heart of the business of smiles, the host of Campfire project, husband, father, community connector, and an absolute gem of a person. I've had my own experience of connecting with him over LinkedIn and also for a very, very special gift for my son. Cannot thank him enough on that. And without further ado, I bring to you Scott, who is at 4 a.m. all the way in Melbourne.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. It is. How are you? It's interesting, right? I've just had a long day and I'm settling in, and you've just begun your day. So how beautiful is that?
I think it's fantastic how we can connect around the world these days. And with both you and I connect through smiles. And that's what's brought
Beautiful.
us together today. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into a conversation with you.
It's going to be so much fun. Thank you so much. And we are today talking about becoming the best version of yourself because, as you say, you are just a man getting on. No, you tell me actually.
I'm just a man trying to be the best version of himself. How I
Hmm.
do that is through many different avenues. But at the end of the day, I feel that's all I can do is continually improve me. So
Yes.
therefore, I'm a better community leader, better husband, better
Mhm.
father, just by being a better version of me.
Beautiful. And isn't that what would make a difference with if each one of us was able to decide that I will become a better version of myself? Um, not making it too big and saying for my entire life, but at least for today.
Very much so. Like every morning I wake up and this morning was a bit earlier than normal, but I still got my meditation in and it was about me being the best version of me for today. What can I do? What's the one thing I can do today to
Hmm,
make my day a fantastic day?
beautiful. So Scott, where did your journey begin? Tell us a little bit about yourself first.
Ooh, okay, I'll give you the quick spiel.
Yes, please.
I was a really good little kid. And then my parents split up when I was 9, which led into my mum working a lot. I ended up on the streets at 14. So just because life didn't quite pan out as good as it could have, moving along a bit, I hit alcohol pretty hard for a while. So from about the age of 15, I started drinking,
Hmm.
and sort of that continued the pattern in my life. That's always been a pattern in my family's lives as well. My grandmother drank herself to death, and my father has had a fair old crack at it. So moving along a little bit, I moved to the UK when I was 23 and spent 4 years traveling, partying, and then I met my wife, and then we moved back to Australia. Uh, I had a fantastic time for a few years, built up a beautiful business, and then about 11 years ago now, that business was hit by a pretty significant incident that I didn't see coming, which actually cost me the first week of my son's life. So for the first week of his life, I wasn't actually there to support either him or my wife, which burnt a pretty big hole in me, which was also a great catalyst for change. So moving along another couple of years, so about 9 years ago, my wife had an accident. We're riding along. If anybody knows Melbourne, there's a place called St. Kevin's, and you've got the Yarra River, which runs along, which is the main river running through Melbourne. So we parked up our bikes, parked up the car, hopped on our bikes, and rode into the city. It's the most beautiful day. It was the day before Mother's Day. It's actually 28 degrees. It was stunning. Quite warm for May. So we cruised into the city, stopped off at South Melbourne Market, had a beautiful lunch. And it was just magnificent. If you're ever in Melbourne, you've got to go to South Melbourne and get yourself some South Melbourne dim sims. My God, they're an institution.
That's on my to-do list for this year.
Hopefully I'll get to do it with you.
That's the plan.
So then we get back on our bikes and ride into St Kilda. And little man, who was 2 at the time, fell asleep on the back of the bike. So we sat down and we watched a local game of football for a little bit and let him have a bit of a sleep. Anyway, rode back to the car. On the way back, we stopped at the Lindt chocolate bar. And Marcella grabbed a coffee. I grabbed a double hot chocolate. And little man had his baby Chino. And it was just a beautiful day. A great way to finish the day. We're riding back to the car. And we're about a minute from the car. And I heard a crash. I didn't have to turn around to know what had happened. My wife's lying there with blood pouring out of her mouth and her head. I actually thought she was dead. Thank God the little man was on the back of my bike. So here I am on the bike path in the middle of the city, Yarra River bike path freeway. In my right arm, I got my wife. Left arm, I got my son. Clearly in trouble. Everybody kept riding and running past. Nobody stopped. My wife had bilateral fracture of the skull, 2 bleeds in the brain. It took only over 20 minutes to get an ambulance to us. It took 6 months for her to learn to walk and talk again. But what killed me? So what kind of society do we live in where in a man's life, the 2 most precious things, his wife and his children, no one stopped? And I'm like, so I sat with it for quite some time. What's the one thing I can do to bring us back together, that we're safe again? What's the one thing we can do? Smile. It's time to reconnect.
Yep.
It's time to bridge that gap. Time is now.
Exactly.
And it's all done with a smile.
High five.
And these things happen in life, and we all have opportunities. We all have things that are really life-changing. But the problem's not the problem. It's how we respond to the problem that either causes the pain, the lesson, or the opportunity. And if we can get through all 3 of those things, we can really find the growth.
True.
You know?
My smile was my savior too, quite literally, but not in that way. I created my smile, my acronym for smile, my 5-step, for a TEDx talk that I did in 2016. I didn't think much of it. I created it. I knew that was the message I wanted to deliver. I delivered it. And then I started getting invites from universities to come speak and share it as a stress management tool. So just before my son flew out, I was called at the university. I presented and I felt, wow, this is what I'd like to do. I'd like to come back, drop him off in Brisbane. My daughter at the time had already moved to Perth. I said, I'm an empty nester now. I will focus on myself. That was my plan. I said, I'm loving this speaking and making a change, impacting students. That's what I'm going to focus on. I go out to Brisbane. We're there for 2 days and I get a call saying dad's in hospital. My dad was somebody who kept great health. He was not someone I would expect landing in the hospital. Like, what's going on here, guys? And they say he's been coughing, and so we had to take him. We took him to hospital. They had to hospitalize him. Okay, I'm thinking he'll be back home. Third day, I find out he's in ICU, and by the fourth, fifth day, we need to make a decision of how I'm going to go and see him. So I cut short my trip from Brisbane. I was supposed to go meet my daughter, who you've met, in Perth, but I cut short the trip. And from right after my son's orientation, I fly out to India to be with him. Unfortunately, we lost him, and everything changed for me. The whole plan of, focusing on myself suddenly went down the drain. And I'm like, I don't like where I am. I struggled for months. And as I said to you, I had aimed to focus on myself. After coming back from Australia, my plan had been I would focus on myself, focus on my smile, focus on my message, and do things. So UAE has something called the Ministry of Happiness. And what I had done was I had connected with them and I said, hey, listen, I have something called the Smile Strategy and I'd love to share it with you guys. You're the Ministry of Happiness after all. And they wrote back to me when I wasn't happy. They wrote back to me when I was struggling in India with loss and grief and pain. And when they wrote to me, I was very honest with them. I said, hey, guys, I know I connected with you, but this is where I am right now in life. And they were kind and they said, whenever you're back, just speak to us. We'd love to know more about what you do. And so came back, met with them. And in March is the World Happiness Day. And we had something called the Happiness Carnival organized by the Prime Minister's office. And they called me and then said, would you like to share your smile? So 5 months of pushing away everyone. And when the Ministry of Happiness and Prime Minister's office calls you and says, come over and speak, you don't say, I'm depressed, you show up. And so I did. So, long story short, at the event, when I started sharing my smile strategy with people and started to see how faces lit up, that's when I realized I've been given something. And I can't be selfish and keep it to myself because I'm struggling. So your message of a smile and the business of smile is beautiful, and you live it day after day. You bring a smile to everybody's face. You make sure they're wearing one, whether it's through the t-shirt or the socks or everything else, all the things that you have, and just wearing it on your face. So a smile is definitely something that is so powerful, and it helps you be the best version of yourself. Surely, I do agree.
Very much so. But thank you for sharing that. Because that's a moment in time that I feel we don't spend enough time in grief anymore. I
No,
feel
we
we
don't.
don't we don't actually get the opportunity to sit in it and feel what is. Because grief is the last gift of love. You can't possibly grieve someone you haven't loved.
Just gave me goosebumps.
Mm.
Yes, grief is definitely the last gift of and it's almost like something that a person leaves behind with you and then you cherish it like a gift.
If
It is a gift.
someone's touched you that much in your heart that you grieve them,
Yeah,
it's actually a beautiful thing.
it is. It is. And unfortunately, sometimes we rush to become normal again, so called. And yeah, why? So, anyway, we are talking today about becoming the best version of yourself. What does it mean to you, Scott, to be the best version of yourself?
Exactly what we are just talking about.
Tell us more.
Being being present in the moment, taking the opportunities to grow continually, stepping into life, creating those little efforts continually. 1%. That's all we want. 1%. What's one thing I can do today to make my life better? So therefore, everybody around me feels better because I've got a better energy. How do I get my smile to connect to your soul? And it's through the eyes. Have you ever wondered why some people you meet, they just smile and it's so warm and you can feel it and you enjoy it and you just feel good being around them? They've earned that smile. They've earned it because they step into life. They appreciate the little things in life. They take the opportunities to be present when they're there. I've just been gifted one of the most amazing opportunities. Last week on Friday, I went for a swim with the cold water crazy ladies, and they swim all year round in Melbourne. I guess quite cold down there during winter.
Yes.
But it's a group of women that do it for each other. They support each other in their bathers. I was gifted the opportunity to join them in their sanctuary. All because I was walking past and all the girls were standing there, and their women were aged from 30 through to 80, and they're standing on the beach ready to go into the water. Morning, girls. How are you? I said, where are you going this morning? Going out in the water. Fantastic. Why don't you come with us? So I've got my big smile up on front. So I stripped down to take everything off. Come on, girls. And we all held hands and walked down into the water. All because I said good morning with a smile.
Yeah.
You know, stepping into those opportunities. I'm the best version of me when I step into these things. My energy when I came home from that opportunity went straight into my wife and my son. That positive energy, because I did a positive thing. And that's what being the best version of me is. Because I can't possibly be anything else. I can't do anything about anybody else. I can only be the best version of me.
True. I think sometimes people struggle or they're bitter because they're looking for the other person to be the best version of themselves and not to taking the effort first. It's like I will be good to them when they are good to me, but it's actually the other way around, isn't it?
Very much so. And it's the accountability mirror, which is something for me that when I first stepped into that, it's actually a David Goggins. David Goggins is a ultra marathon runner, ex-Navy SEAL. Yeah, so and that accountability mirror. Sorry, morning tongue. The accountability mirror is it's a good place to be, because when we step into being fully responsible for all of our actions, all of them, then we get the opportunity to do something about it. If you take responsibility for every single situation you're in, because you're there, so you are responsible. You have a choice to walk away. You have a choice to respond. You have a choice to put a smile on your face and address the situation. Sometimes we need to go to other safe places to actually practice what we need to work on before we take on the big challenges. But being accountable for you is so important.
Yep.
Yeah. Good.
And that word accountability. I was in Perth in April. I spoke at the Happiness Carnival. Things started kind of making a shift for me. And then in April was the Easter break. And the little one, not so little one, was flying in from Brisbane to be with his sister in Perth. And the kids were together for 2 weeks. So I gave them a call and I said, hey guys, would it be okay if I joined you? And Ida goes, yes, Ma, come over. So I gave them a week to enjoy by themselves, and the other 1 week that he was there, I said I would love to come in and cook and do all the mummy things together for both the kids. And so I went down, and we were on this bus ride. We needed to go get some stuff, and we were on a 1 hour bus ride, me and my son. And he sits right beside me, and he looks at me straight in the eye, and he goes, "So, Ma, what have you been up to?" I knew I hadn't been up to a lot. So I just look at him and I say, I'm your mother. You can't speak to me like that. But him being him, and him knowing me as well as he does, he said, all of that is great. But what about accountability? Ooh, kids. So, so I had to own up. I said, I don't feel like doing anything. It's been rough. So he said, yeah, all of that is great, Mom. But what about accountability? That really got me thinking, and I went back to the drawing board and I said, what are some things I could do? What are some projects I can start, to get the ball rolling again? And that's where when I came back to UAE a few weeks later, I came back here and I saw myself getting back in that pattern of feeling depressed, alone at home, empty nest, all of that kind of kicking in once again. I said, what's one thing I could do so that I can get out of bed, wash my face, and face the world? And that's where the daily videos started. May 1st, 2018. And today shall be day 1387 of that commitment. Every day, day after day, without a gap. So, yes, this is what I do.
And that commitment is so important to others, but the most important person that's important to is you.
Is me. Yeah. People who look at that journey ask me, oh, so we look at the number of people you're helping. I said that wasn't really the intention when I started out. It was me that I needed to rescue. It was me that I needed to help. So I'm actually on a project of my own. I'm creating a log of all my videos, and I'm going through each day, day after day. So I started with day one, and I'm creating a log of all the links to all the videos, and gives me the opportunity to look at myself presenting, from the journey forward. And it's fascinating to observe how much evolution has happened for the conversations, for the confidence, for the contribution. I'm so grateful.
What's been your biggest lesson, you reckon?
My biggest lesson has been to just show up, without wondering or worrying about how many people are watching or not watching. It's just showing up. There have been times when I've showed up and I'm speaking to myself, but that's okay. Whoever needs to receive the message will receive it whenever they get there.
I think that's something that I too have learned in what I do. The right time is now, and
Yeah,
showing up is everything. Committing to you. Yeah, absolutely. Like everybody's doing their best, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely everybody's doing their best. Sometimes their best is just getting out of bed that day.
Yes.
And that's okay. Like it's my word for this year is human. Or I like to think of it as humane. How can I be more humane this year? How can I be more human? How can I help others connect into our hearts so that we do feel and understand each other, so then we can take the opportunity to grow beyond what is our existence right now. Like it's I walk the streets literally thanking people for do their best. And then I turn around to them and I go, thank you so much for doing your best right now. Is it okay if I gift you a pair of socks? And I'll pull out my socks. Right? And these aren't any ordinary pair of socks, right? Those black dots, they represent our dark days. We all have them. No one's getting out of that. The yellow's that warm winter sun on our back. That's our community getting around you in your dark days, because your dark days are generally
Hmm.
between your ears. So let's talk about them, yeah? So,
Yep.
and what happens in that moment is people are seen, and we wait and we listen, and we just take our time. Whatever comes up, comes up. And we enjoy being present. My gorgeous 10-year-old son comes with me when I go out and walk the streets, and he
Wow,
knows how to talk to people,
that's
and we talk
so
to
beautiful.
absolutely anybody, from the homeless to the cyclist to just everybody, because we're all worth it. Yeah.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Yeah.
I remember when the pandemic started and everybody had begun wearing masks.
Mm.
I remember walking in to go get my groceries and wearing the mask, smiling at people through the mask, looking at people and just smiling at them, eye contact and smile. And when you smile, your eyes cringe up, and the other person, whether they're wearing a mask or not, you know that they're smiling at you. And then I began to observe how people would just smile back,
I think
you
it's
know.
one of the greatest opportunities. Like I learnt myself just how deep a smile is in somebody's eyes.
Exactly. So we have.
Because I got around, we changed it up.
Hmm.
I said to people, we made a heap of masks. I said, if you don't have a smile, that's okay. You can borrow one of mine, and then put the.
I want one of those. I like that.
It's
Beautiful.
like to wear your smile up front. It's a great interaction. Like with the socks, like it's the messages in behind the socks are a lot more than what I've just mentioned. Because what actually happens is when you wear them, they're very bright.
Yeah.
People see the socks and they look down at your socks and they start smiling. And
And
when
they're
you,
curious.
they are, but what happens is you notice them looking down, so you know they're going to be smiling. So when you have that very first interaction, you're both smiling, and it opens up deeper conversations, because we're great at surface level conversations.
Hmm.
We're learning how to talk about emotional opportunities, because throughout time we've understood things physically. We've understood physical pain. We've been in battle. We understand all the physicalities, but the emotional side of life is something we're really starting to learn. And the opportunity called COVID has actually helped us understand that more.
Hmm. I like it.
Because
Hmm.
yeah.
I like that you call it an opportunity.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, what inspires you to be the best version of yourself? Yeah, if you have a
Uh,
question.
well, that's a great question, and thank you for asking it, because my son, so he's, I actually came home from work one day when he was about five, must have been 5 years old, and there's an advert on TV years ago about drinking beer and who's watching you, right? And I came home from work, and he's grabbed a beer and said, "Here, Dad," and I'm like, "Ooh, that was the last beer I've ever had. I haven't had a beer since." Simply because he's the first one in my family that gets to grow up where he gets to see the difference between some people who drink and people who don't. I've never had that opportunity. So I
Hmm.
get to gift that to him. He has
Wow.
been my greatest inspiration, because I, perfectly honest, I look around at the role models in our society and I'm not overly happy with a lot of them. They
Hmm.
don't live a valued life. So in order for me to give him the best opportunity in life, all I can do is be the best version of me.
That's beautiful.
You
Well,
know,
yes, your children can definitely be your inspiration. The reason I do what I do is because I know I have two people watching. Uh, he's just knowing that, yes, I started writing in 2000. My son at the time was a few months old. My daughter had just joined school. And for me, it was just that realization that I would like to do more in life than diapers and dishes. This would be a perfect example for my daughter to look at her mom who's doing more in life, and not just being that person who's upset and bitter and angry because she hasn't done much with the education she has and the opportunities that she could have had. And as my son grows up, he begins to notice and observe that this is how you treat your partner. This is how you give room and space for your partner to be a person bigger and better than they can be. So for me, it was a win-win, because luckily I have a daughter who's older and a son who's younger. So it was almost like when I grew up, by the time I grew up in my career or in my journey, he was big enough to realize, okay, this is what my mom does. And Ida was lucky enough to see me grow. So she saw her journey very well.
Yeah, and that's beautiful. I do want to grab something though. Like, I have actually had the opportunity to meet your daughter,
Yeah,
and
so before you get into
I,
that, I would like to actually give the intro to what had happened, because I really would like to. So I reached out to so when I introduced Scott, I said Scott has had the opportunity to meet my children and a very, very special gift for my son. So this was December, and this was a birthday that was coming up, and I know my son loves socks, and here is someone who's selling smiley socks, and I said, Scott, how can we get this done? And he was awesome, awesome, awesome enough to meet up with Ida, my daughter, and gift him, just literally gift him the socks and the t-shirt. So God bless you, Scott, for that. Now you can jump into your part of the story. I'm waiting to hear that too.
and what a beautiful interaction it was to sit there with your daughter and be able to touch your children's heart when you can't be there, but to let them know that you can get to them at any point, no matter what, because I'm here. If need be anything, I'm here in support and love to make sure that they are okay. That safety was just beautiful. But the thing I loved most, here I am meeting a wonderful woman in United Arab Emirates, and I just connecting like no tomorrow. And I don't really know you. I know a little bit about you from LinkedIn. But what I learned about you from your daughter and the pride she has for you, and how much she is who she is because of you. Oh my God. I felt your heart through your daughters, because you're being the best version of you for them. It was one of the most amazing things. The smiles from both of us were just so deep, and it's almost gonna get me because as a parent, the number one thing we want is not necessarily protect our kids, but we just want to know that they're safe. I mean, we want to know that we can get to them if we can, and that was one of my most pleasurable moments, to be able to say, hey, Sabu Bona, I see you, I got you. Yeah.
Thank you. God bless you.
Oh, it was beautiful. Look, we're talking about our kids and what they see. And my son interviewed me for 53 minutes when he was 8 years old. It's actually inside the Campfire project, which is where I do a fair few conversations. An amazing group. And you go, Dad, why do you give so much, but you don't receive? For an 8-year-old. I'm like, wow, bud. I said, can I ask why you asked that question? He goes, I just always see you doing things, but I don't really see much coming back. I said, that's beautiful. I said, are you okay if I share with you how we do this? He said, yeah, Dad. said, remember we went down to the bakery the other day and I needed some flour, and Jeanette just gave us flour, no questions asked. He goes, yeah. I said, remember the other day we were in the shop and you wanted a kombucha? Just take it. Yeah. I said, that's the little ways that we pay respect to one another. I live a beautiful life because I have little moments like that all the time. It's not about the big rewards. It's about consistent little rewards that continually fill your cup up. But the thing that I took away from that conversation is just how much they observe what we do and become who we are. So being the best version of you is the best thing for everybody around you. Because people will forget your words, but they will never forget how you made them feel.
True. True. We have a lovely comment coming in. We've got our regular listening, Kunan is listening. He says, hi, amazing to see two smile strategists in one frame. Smile, it's free therapy indeed. And Rahil, the one who'd asked us the question, he says, wow, that's great. Thank you for sharing. And Jennifer, who is going to be my star speaker next week, is watching us. She says, when people are having a bad hair day, what advice would you give them to bring a smile back?
Own it. Just own it. Just embrace it, because we all have bad hair days, right? And just own it. If you own the situation, it's your situation. It's not like nobody else's. And that's the one thing I think has really helped myself understand me better, is that it's okay to have a bad hair day. It's okay to show up with a bad hair day. Just own it. You know, go big on the bad hair. Just, you know what? It's shocking today. It's terrible. I can't believe it. But you know what? I'm here because you're important. And so am I.
Beautiful. And when you talk about ownership, it's also important that you do not judge yourself. And I think this is really me speaking, because sometimes you try so hard to fit in. You want to be a particular kind of a person so that you can fit in or be accepted by people, or, be that perfect presenter, speaker, change maker, whatever. But it's okay just to be yourself, because that's who you are, isn't it?
100%. Now, I have a conversation here that I hope is okay, because it's inside the Campfire project. I talk about anything and everything. I do not have taboo topics. I have topics that need to be discussed and learnt, because that way we can all grow. And one of the conversations that really opened my eyes, and it was actually really poignant in the aspect of we are all just trying to find out who we are and own our own story. I sat with 3 people and asked them, what was it like to be gay? And what I came away with was, what is it like to be yourself?
Exactly.
Because it doesn't matter who you are. The hardest person to identify is you.
Yep.
And so many people spend time not being themselves, not investigating themselves. Because one of the things I love more than anything is try everything once. If you don't like it, try it again and make sure. So because when you find out something you don't like, it's actually an opportunity to find something you do. You just got to ask yourself, what's the opposite of this? What's the opposite of this? I really don't like this. This is not great. I don't want to be a part of it. But if that's what I don't like, I wonder what I would like.
I like when you say that, because it's when you ask people what they want, a lot of times they'll say, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. I say, yes, you don't want this and this and this, but what do you want then? Are you clear on what you want? If you're not clear on what you want, then stop complaining that you're not getting anywhere. Uh,
100%. But if you can identify what you don't want, just write it down on a piece of paper. Put, this is what I don't want. Then put on the other side, what's the opposite of that? Okay, perfect. And that may not be the right answer either, but you're one step closer to getting it right. And that's the key, because life isn't about making things happen. It's about, okay, improvement. What does practice make?
Progress.
I love it. Someone else gets it, because my son got me. Because he said, practice makes perfect, mate. Practice. Dad, practice makes progress. I'm like,
Did
you're
I hear?
right.
We haven't been talking, you and my son and sorry, your son and me. Just putting it out there. It's just something
Yeah.
that because I am against the concept of perfection. I have a quote that says the concept of perfection is flawed. I do not believe in perfection. I believe in progress. So I do things over and over again, not to make them perfect, but to see some progress in where I'm getting.
Yeah, and look, and I love that, because one of the things I'd love to see change in the schooling system is we don't put a red cross or a line through it. What we do is we get a green pen, we put a green line under it, and then we put an L for a lesson. How can we improve that? Because you haven't got it wrong, because you did the best of what you could. So how can we improve that? What are the things we can do to improve things? Because I think that if we ask a better quality question, we'll get a better result. The two most powerful words in the English language: thank you and no. If you say thank you to somebody, it's nice. So thank you. If you say no to somebody, you put a full stop. No. However, if you give a thank you with context, okay, thank you so much for having me on today. I love being a part of your journey called life and sharing a smile with you, because I know we're connecting to each other's hearts. How much deeper is that? How much better do we feel? A thank you with context. Give the opportunity. Likewise with no. No, Ruqya, I can't be on today because I've got an interview with my son later on today, because that's really important to me. Oh, okay. Well, when could we do that? How could we do that? So giving context, and it was just a quick example, but giving context to a no gives you the opportunity to open up possibility. No, I don't like that. I don't like those socks because it's yellow, and yellow it's not my color, and it's not okay. Okay, that's fantastic. Thank you. So what colors would you like? Creating opportunities, because that's, I think too often we put full stops in life. No, I'm not doing that. Okay, well, let's be more specific. What is it you don't like about that? Let's see if we can find something to do. And I love that. I love that. It's a growth opportunity.
I like that. I mean, yeah, definitely putting a context to things, and not just kind of cutting it off. Very often we do that with the children. We tell them, no, you can't have that, and that's it. They don't understand why they can't have it. Is it because we can't afford it? Is it because it's not good for me? Is it because it's a bad choice? Is it because I'm not a good enough person? They make those little stories in their head, and then those little stories become big monsters as they grow up, and that becomes the limiting belief and the story of their life. So why not just give context to it? I love that. Thank you.
No, and just talking about that, because talking about accountability, my son, well, if I say no, because I'm no, mate, not right now. Dad, I need some context to that so I can understand it better. And I'm like, and I give him a high five when he does that, because I appreciate the fact that he's had the courage to step into that and hold me accountable, because that's how we grow.
Love it. It's important that we have open conversation with our children. It changes the relationship with them. It changes their way they look at themselves as well. It's like, yes, you are parents, but you are not authority over them. You need to be friends. At after a point, not after a point. I think you always need to be a friend to your child. That's important, so that they know that if something goes wrong, you are the point of contact, not somebody else, not a friend, not a friend's mom, not somebody on social media, but you. The parents are the place to go to place.
Yeah, I very much agree with that, because it's that the connection between you and your kids is really important, and we're learning how we can impact one another. But having that honesty of conversation, and sometimes it's about being really clear and honest and asking permission. One of the things I talk about with Oscar is we've got an invisible chain between us. That the invisible chain will, that's what keeps us connected. If that chain breaks, and it can break by lying to one another, by doing something bad to one another that's going to cause pain deliberately, then I can fix it. We can weld that chain back together. But eventually, we won't have any more steel to hold that together. It'll break through. So that chain, that link between him and I, it's our honor to keep that at our best at all times. And that, just that honesty of conversation. And sometimes, like, I had to have a conversation about cocaine with him, because there was a conversation at school with him about it. And I'm like, okay, cool. Can you give me some context around that? Exactly what happened, so I know how I can present that to you. So then I said, okay, so this happened. And I'm like, okay, cool. I said, so now I've got an understanding. Cocaine is a narcotic. Okay, it's something that people use to escape life. I said, I don't do right and wrong. I do, that's something that people use for themselves, and we don't make things wrong. It's something that I would like to dive into deeper with you later in life, because you're only 9 at the moment. Is it okay if we discuss it all later? But if you've got any more questions about it, I want you to ask me. I asked permission. I was honest with him.
Yep.
So that way it builds that trust. And it's not for now. He's only 10. It's for when he's in his 20s and the real stuff starts happening, that he's got a solid rock to go back to, because I would much rather him learn from me and my values than I would learn about it in a schoolyard where kids aren't always talking from experience of life.
Exactly. And that
So,
is
sorry.
important.
Yeah,
Yes.
so there's a question there. Right?
Yes. Definitely. There's a question here, yes. How to manage emotions when you feel down and dejected if your expectations are not met? Thank you for the question.
Yeah, I like that. Write them down. Get intimate with your emotions and understand what it is that you're actually feeling dejected about. What exactly are you? Is it the way they spoke to me? Is it the way I felt? Was it the words they used that triggered something else? Understanding the emotion. What is it? Is it frustration? Is it anger? Is it fear? What is it? Get deep into the emotions and then take responsibility for it. Because a trigger is actually a key to something that we need to work on. And it's okay to be triggered. It's okay to not understand something, but take the responsibility to learn it. Take the responsibility to understand it. It's really important, because our emotions, the energy in motion, will impact others around us. So it's really important to process them. Be curious. Yeah.
I like that. I'm curious,
Yeah.
Scott, what does a smile mean to you?
It's the quickest way to get from my heart to yours.
Ah, tell us a
I
little bit more.
oh, it's
I'm not going to let you go away with just that much.
well, it's funny, right? Like, because when I catch up with people, I don't call it a catch up. Let's touch hearts. Yeah, let's touch hearts. Let's get into a conversation that's going to reach into us. A smile is safety. The more genuine a smile, and the smiles in the eyes, it creates an opportunity to connect and let people know that it's okay. Thank you for doing your best right now. I see you. In a world that we're so, I call it the Botox of life, where we put all these fillers into our life and they don't necessarily help us through life. They just fillers, which takes away the authenticity. A smile is something that we gift one another. Let's each other know that we're okay. Sawu Bona, I continually say that. It's a Zulu greeting for I see you. To be seen is just wonderful. Doesn't matter who you are. It could be that kid at the back of the classroom. It could be the lady walking down the street with her shopping and it's probably a little bit heavy. How you doing? But she's nervous because she's, society has given her the opportunity that we're going to be worried about each other. But a smile just makes her, those bags a little taller. Someone saw me today. They're not as heavy. The person living on the streets who's desperate for contact because life hasn't gone to plan. They're not quite sure how to get out of it and get things right. But you know what? Someone smiled at me today. I must be looking okay. So, what does a smile mean to me? What does a smile? It's a connection.
It's a connection.
Yeah. I walk around with this, and this is how I live. I live like this. So when I engage with people, they're already smiling when they get to me. I have the most amazing conversations with random people because I get to live through rose-colored glasses, and I'm so happy because I wear my smile, and I just, and it's an authentic smile.
Yeah.
I've had to earn my smile. It doesn't come easy, but it's worth it.
Tell me about earning the smile. This is the third time I'm hearing you say this. Now, tell me about that.
Okay, so I'm a firm believer that we've got to earn our smile, right?
What's
because earning a smile is living authentically, living an open and honest life that creates absolute authenticity. Because it's okay to get things wrong, and I get plenty of things wrong, but I will always show up. I'll always have a crack at it because I know that on the other side of discomfort is growth and the best version of me. So I'm gonna step into things. I'm gonna continually step into it so that I can understand more about me, which helps me earn my smile. Step into the conversations that are uncomfortable, because when we do that, we get a better understanding. But we've got to come in from a place of curiosity. If you're curious and you want to understand more about people or situations, it can be a work situation where you're building a house and there's over the moment there's a massive timber shortage, right? So it's putting a lot of stress on builders. So a good builder will look at alternatives. Maybe I can do a steel frame. Maybe I can do a double brick and expand things. And then, what can I do to make things happen? And then you earn your smile because you've stepped into solution, taken a problem and you've created a solution. At this current point at the moment, there's I'm in Melbourne and the mandates are quite heavy around COVID. I think we've got the strictest mandates in the world of what's going on and the most amount of lockdowns. And so me being me, curious, I don't exactly know what's going on, but I don't like the pain that comes with the situation. I support people in dark times, and there's a lot of it at the moment. So I actually want to go and understand what the different points of view are. So I actually went to some of the rallies to listen to people and watch their faces and see whether or not they're coming from love or fear. And I would challenge people on people on the microphone. Oh, this is beautiful, because 4 people I went and spoke to, because they had the loudest voices. So I was really interested. I go up and ask the question, hey, listen, I love the fact that you want to have a voice, and you've actually got the loudest voice here. Can I just ask, what are you selling? What are you creating? Are you coming from love or fear?
Yep.
Because you've got the loudest voice, whatever you project is what's going to be felt.
True.
3 of the 4 changed what they were saying, because they've gone, okay, I understand that. Because that we rarely ask, are we coming from love or fear? What is it in this situation? How do I want to project myself? Which emotion do I want to be felt? Which can choose that.
Yep.
So I choose to live with love in my heart. I live a valued life. My values are trust, respect, love equals action. I trust that I'm only ever given a situation I can handle. Am I trusted in this situation? Yes. Go through to respect. No. Find out why you're not trusted, and either find a way to trust it or move on. Respect. Am I respecting myself, my family, and my community? Yes. Perfect. Move through to the next one. No. Find out why I don't trust the situation, I'm not respected, and either get that or leave the situation alone. Love. Am I coming from love or fear? If I'm coming from fear, then I cannot follow through with this. I need to find a reason to have the trust and respect and understand that fear, get curious about it, and then work through it. If I'm coming from love, I need to create an action, because it's in complete alignment with my values. I live a valued life. I choose my actions with love in my heart so that I can earn my smile, so that we can do that together, because my impact upon every single person I meet is what I choose to give them. I have a choice. I have a choice to leave people feeling connected or disconnected. And I want to be connected, like now. Long before my words will be forgotten, you will always remember how I make you feel. You can feel me right now through a screen. You can feel me, my heart. You can feel my smile.
Yeah, I definitely can.
And it's amazing.
It's warm. It's warm. It is beautiful. It is authentic. It's real. It's coming from love. And I'm so grateful for you, Scott, and for the amazing work that you do. Thank you.
We together,
Thank you so
okay?
much.
We together. We're, and this is the most beautiful part about this. Inside the business of smiles, the Campfire project, it's all about we together, connecting hearts, connecting stories, connecting smiles. Look at this beautiful conversation. It is beautiful. All because we chose to smile.
True that. True that. You go around wearing that T-shirt. I go around wearing my badge, my smile badge. This actually comes from the Ministry of Happiness. So yeah. So I got it then, and I keep wearing that to every conference I go and wherever I'm speaking and presenting. And it's interesting because sometimes the event is over and I've forgotten to take out the badge, and I'm walking through supermarkets or probably in the lift getting home, and people look at the badge and they smile because they're like, what's wrong with her? Or she's wearing that. Does she know that she's wearing that? It's interesting. It's beautiful how people behave. People connect when they look at a smile. I asked you that question because somebody asked me that question earlier today, and they said, what does a smile mean to you? And I said, hope. My answer to her was hope. I said, a smile is all about hope for me, because no matter how dark the times get, if you see a smile, there is a sense of hope. Whether it's
I,
you wearing it, Sorry, whether it's you wearing it or whether it's somebody else, right?
I agree completely. Hope is the one thing. Like in October this year, I'm running from Sydney to Melbourne, so it's 1,350 odd kilometres, and I'm going to be we're going to be handing out 10,000 pairs of socks.
Wow.
Just to say thank you to people.
Hmm.
You know, before COVID started, we had massive bushfires in Australia.
Yes.
Massive. And since COVID, they've been forgotten about. And we need to go back to those communities to say, Sawi Bana, I see you.
I see.
You know? And it's not always about fixing things. Sometimes we just need to listen.
It's not about fixing. We jump into fix it mode so autopilot. We feel like, yes, if someone comes to you with a problem, you have to fix it for them. No, sometimes they just want you to listen. I like that. Thank you.
So I actually run a thing called a Safe Place to Land, where I actually, every Monday night, I have builders from around Australia. They come in and they sit and we talk about like anything in life, right? So if you've got a business, you've got all the business stuff, which is a lot that can actually be a lot of stress. And so the guy I work with is actually a business coach, but I take care of the personal matters. I sit and I listen about the kids, the wife, the good and the bad. And I don't fix anything. The key to it is being appreciative for them having the conversation, but then asking permission before I speak. And one of the most healing things that happens in any conversation is silence. To sit there in that uncomfortable silence when someone's got something emotional they've just brought to the table, and to have a screen full of guys from around Australia and just wait until that person speaks again. And sometimes it takes up to 5 minutes. But that strength in the silence, without saying a word, we can feel one another. You know.
True.
Listening is so powerful.
Listening is healing. So, on that very, very powerful note, I am going to invite you to share just 3 little things that people can do to be the best version of themselves. And we will call it a night or a day for you.
Brilliant. All right, thank you. So 3 little things. Number 1, step into life. Yeah. If you're not sure and you're not sure exactly what's going to happen, take half a step forward. Half a step forward. Ask yourself, how can I take half a step forward into this? What can I do to step into this? 2, every single person is doing their best. If you can accept that everybody's doing their best, then it gives you the opportunity to know that whatever's coming out at the minute, it's going to be okay, because we're all doing our best. No one's ever made a decision to make a wrong decision. Yeah. You only learn it's a wrong decision once you've made that decision and you get new information that teaches you that. Yeah. Because it was the right decision at that time. Number 3, have a crack. Just have a crack. If you think you might want to have a go at it, just have a crack at it, because you're worth it. You really are.
I think we take ourselves too seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have a good look at it.
Just have a crack. Some of the best things are your failures. Like, I just love it, because that means and a failure isn't actually a failure. It just means you're one step closer to improving it and making progress. And it's just like, yeah, people are amazing. We are all have so much to offer one another if we're prepared to sit and learn each other.
Absolutely. So, thank you so much, Scott, for joining us so early in the morning, 4 a.m. It was for him when we started. Thank you so much for joining us. Kunan says, great conversation. Thank you, Ruqya and Scott, for very powerful insights. And thank you, everyone who joined us in the conversation on the live and later on the replay. If you're new to this channel, do subscribe because these are the kind of gems I bring to you from my circle of genius. And I am so, so blessed to know you and to connect with your work, Scott. I am looking forward to meeting you in Melbourne sometime soon in this year.
Likewise, Ruqya, I can't wait to touch hearts because you're an amazing human being that wears your smile up front. And I'm so grateful to be walking this journey called life with you. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Scott. Thank you. I am blessed indeed to be working with you and having this conversation. Thank you for your time. Thank you, everybody, and have a great rest of the evening, rest of the night, rest of the morning, wherever you are in the world. Thank you, everybody. And good night.